I don't know, maybe my guy Harden will go back to H-Town. We'll see. All right, we are live. So, all right, the mic should be working. Test, test, test. I see that it's working. All right. Anyone on Insta, go ahead and go to YouTube. I have my YouTube link posted in my story. So, whoever is watching on YouTube right now, you see I got stuff that it's a little bit different. It looks a little bit different. I got all my I got to get used to my camera right now. It's flipped. So, when I point right, it goes to the left of my screen, and point left, it goes to the right of my screen. So, got my socials right here. So, added that a little bit new. That's what's cool about this software. Eventually, when I get a little bit more time on my hands, put a little priority to it, might make it a little intro. I think those are pretty cool. Like intro to for the beginning of the video, welcome everyone, and then play that little intro clip. I don't know. We might be in the works for doing that. We'll see. See what I can cook up. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and hop right into it. But I guess update on my back. It's doing a lot better. For those of you who don't know anything about my back, on my Saturday stream, I talked about I was doing some deadlifts, doing a little bit of hypertrophy work, and wasn't doing a ton of weight. I mean, for me, it's not a ton of weight, but 275. I was doing like 8 reps per set, and I was doing the reps a little bit jerkish and pretty fast, so wasn't really watching my form and just go down, pull up, hear a pop. Ooh, that wasn't good. Definitely felt it for a few minutes, and eventually it actually loosened up. Felt a little bit better, but still sore. Still not extremely comfortable. But I finished my workout. Obviously, I didn't want to strain my back, so I did other exercises around it, and been resting it the past couple days. I went to the gym on Monday. Actually felt pretty good, and I took today a rest day. Tomorrow I'll do a little bit of legs. So I'll have to work around it, but it's feeling pretty good. So I've been icing it and gonna start applying heat to it tonight as well. So feeling pretty good. It's lucky, man upstairs blessing me that it's not super serious. So that's a good thing because that would suck if I was out for a long time or had to do some sort of procedure or something to fix my back. And I'm young, getting a little older, so I need to stretch. There's actually some programming I'm gonna do for strengthening my lower back. There's a guy on YouTube I actually really enjoy watching, Alexander Bromley. He's a big strength guy, big strength, powerlifting, not so much like bodybuilding, but strongman stuff. So he has a bunch of good workouts and good exercises to do to strengthen lower backs. So I'm definitely going to try that out. So, topic of tonight. I think this is going to be an interesting one. And for my female women viewers, let me know. Let me know in the description. Let me know in the comments. Shoot me a DM. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? I think it's good input to hear from all of my female viewers. Am I right about this? Am I wrong about it? If I am wrong about it, what am I wrong about? So, and that could even be another show, a little live show. We can go a little bit back and forth and on what women really want. It's a big debate. If anyone has seen my Twitter or my Facebook post about it, it's the question all guys ask. What do women really want? Just because us guys are very simple creatures. For you women out there, if you don't know what we want, it's a shame because it's very simple what we want. We don't really change. We haven't changed for hundreds of years. We want the same stuff. But if you don't know what we want, I might move that to a separate video, separate live. But what do women really want? So before I kind of get into my spiel, what I have deducted and what conclusion I have come to over my vast experience of 26 years is there's a few people I'll go over their videos and what the experts, quote unquote experts say. And maybe they might not deem themselves experts. A couple of these people are actually what they deem themselves as dating experts. So it's I think they genuinely have good points. And I would say from a broad general perspective, I mean, agree with them. It's hard not to agree with them because it's all good, generally good stuff. But there's one specific point that will focus at the end. So, without further ado, I want to make sure that I actually have this pulled up, and I will add commentary. So, a couple of these are shorter clips of their videos. So, if you see a long 15-minute video or something like that, don't worry, we're not going to watch the whole thing. I'm not going to comment on everything. So, for most of them, I'm going to show some short clips, and obviously for copyright reasons, I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm going to stop in between. I'm going to add some of my own commentary just because YouTube does allow that. And if anyone has any questions during the show, go ahead, let me know. I'll make sure to answer them the best of my ability. So let's go to main camera. Drum roll, please. All right, window share. Let's go. I love this new software. It's super cool. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Matthew Hussey, he's a female dating coach. So he's actually pretty well renowned in the female dating coach sphere. He is English, but he works with people from all around the world. And he was invited onto the show, Chris Williamson. I've shared a few videos. I've mentioned Chris Williamson a ton on my Instagram stories just because he's amazing at what he does. He's one of the best at what he does with interviewing people, learning from different experts. He's basically kind of like a young Joe Rogan. And it's ironic too because they both live in Austin. So who knows? Maybe I'll meet him when I start living down there. But from the topic, obviously, of the video, he says, "What do women actually want from men?" From the world's #1 female dating coach, Matthew Hussey. So let's see what he has to say. And bear in mind, I actually watched this whole video many times. I've watched the whole podcast here, 2 hours long. Very good. I recommend anyone watch it, both male and female, guy and girl. He actually doesn't specifically ask this question. Chris doesn't, and it's not specifically answered, but I think this clip is a really interesting one, which we'll go over.
Looking at that on both sides. We talked earlier about women who might say, well, I want to date someone who's at my level. And I want to go, well, let's redefine what you class as your level. Do you mean your level for kindness? Your level for generosity? Your level for empathy? Your level for being loyal? Or do you mean your level of income? Because the things I said first will make you far happier. This thing doesn't really matter, but you've told yourself it matters. Now, could you make a compromise that goes against the grain? Because that is what, if we go online and we look at all of these communities, is everyone arguing to me, that's from the outside, because I'm not deep in these things, but it's like I hear secondhand all the time. So you can always correct me if I'm getting it wrong on what people are saying out there. But when I look at it, I feel like so much debate is being had at the macro level.
Okay, we'll stop right there. I actually wanted to check to make sure it's not double audioing right now. So give me a... Okay, sorry, I'm back. It was actually double capturing the audio, so I was right. I muted my mic kind of halfway through the video, so hopefully you didn't get this weird double audio for too long. I think it was like 10, 15 seconds. But I think he brings up interesting point. It's like, all right, if you're looking for like loyalty, let's rewatch this. Sorry, I got kind of thrown off by that double audio, so let's go ahead and let's go back. I think it was around like 5-6 minutes mark, and I'll stop after he kind of goes over these list of things that, hey, women, are you actually really thinking about these kind of attributes, or are you thinking about when he talks about in terms of your level? Because in general, it is generally agreed upon that women, they're hypergamous. They try to look for partners, future boyfriends, future husbands that are either on their level or above them. So socioeconomically, as well as intelligently, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll rewatch this and I'll comment on it.
I want to date someone who's at my level. And I want to go, well, let's redefine what you class as your level. Do you mean your level for kindness? Your level for generosity? Your level for empathy? Your level for being loyal? Or do you mean your level of income?
Boom. So yeah, exactly. He's talking about, all right, your level of kindness, your level of generosity, your level of loyalty, or your level of income. And to be totally frank, I mean, I think women generally think and try to find someone with all of that generosity, kindness, loyalty, and income. I mean, that's generally a big factor as well. Because I mean, you ask any woman, and this is also the issue with asking women like kind of what they want, guys to a certain extent, but I'd say mainly women as well, or specifically, is you ask them one thing, what do you want? They'll say all these good things, the kindness, the loyalty, but in the back of their mind, they also want the lifestyle, the income. They're not going to date some broke dude, even though he's super attractive and has all those qualities. They're not going to, well, they might date him, but they're not going to stick with him. They're not going to see him as like a long term option. That's basically the kind of what reality is. Eventually, they need to find someone who is, and we'll go over this as we look at some of these other experts and what they say that women really want is stability, passion, goals, being a leader. Those are all things that women, from a long term perspective, really want and they'll need. So, so they basically women first of all are attracted to the bad boy, the masculine traits, and then all of this kindness, loyalty, generosity. This comes at a later stage once the relationship is a little bit more settled, and they're looking for something a little bit more long term. So, but it's a good question to ask. All right, let's go ahead and hop over to the next one. This one is from a famous YouTuber, Courtney Ryan. If you're not familiar with her, she's a big. She's gotten into the dating scene and talks about from women's perspectives, and it's really interesting because she'll always in some of her videos she has a panel of her friends that are women. They talk about what they want, like height level, income level, career choices in a guy, and it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of viral content that goes around that's come from her videos. A lot of her friends, they're like, "What was the average man make?" And they're like, "Oh, like 100K, 200K," and it's like the average guy makes like $40,000 a year. So a lot of people's perspective and thought when it comes to average is very skewed, and obviously that comes from and is generated by how you kind of grew up, which creates this. I wouldn't. Yeah, I guess I would call it like entitledness slash like ignorance. They just don't know what's kind of normal and average in a setting because maybe they grew up in a really nice neighborhood. All of their friends, parents, they made good money and stuff like that. So more of a learned environment instead of kind of an average environment. But we're not going to watch this whole video. It's 6 minutes long, but she talks about the top five things women really want in a man.
Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today things that will turn to get this one out of the way, and it should be no surprise to you that this is the first one on the list. I know you're all thinking it, so obviously all women want to feel safe, secure, whether that be financially, emotionally, kind of the whole nine yards. Obviously, if a woman is going for a long-term
And notice how she's talking about it's not just financially, but it's physically, mentally, emotionally. It's all encompassing. I'd even throw in spiritually in there as well. Some sort of stability, but it comes with a caveat, and I'll talk about it later.
relationship. She's going to look for someone who is financially stable. Hello, hypergamy. But they do look for stability in other aspects of life as well, not just finances. Of course, there might be some women that just look for finances and that's all they care about. And in that case, I'd say you might want to avoid those type of women. But nonetheless, I think women look for stability in other aspects of life too, how emotionally safe she feels with you.
Like I said, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, it's kind of all encompassing. So stability. They want to come home to the guy who's like a rock, who maybe not necessarily like stone cold emotional, which stoicism I think I'm definitely a big fan of, and that plays its parts and it's necessary. But because guys are the rock of the house and the rock of the relationship and the family, and the woman, just because women are naturally just more emotional, they're more up and down all the time. They need someone that is stable in the relationship to kind of hold things together. So we're going to go ahead and skip over to the second one, leadership.
Number 2, I've got leadership. Being a leader is just something that's incredibly attractive, and not only will this help you in your romantic relationships, but generally I think this will help you in your everyday life as well, whether it be with your friends, with your family, at work. Being able to kind of take the lead in a situation if things get a little bit stressful.
And for my fellas, women want you to take the lead on stuff. So comes from dating, comes from first interactions. Like, how many women in general have naturally just like approached a guy and just started a conversation with you? Not very many. And to be fair, typically the ones that do aren't, one, the most attractive, two, the ones that you'd want to date slash go on a date with and be with long term. Just be totally frank and honest. Just because the women that are attractive, they don't have to do that. They don't have to make the first move. But it's actually funny. Historically, the woman in courtships and dating situations, the woman drops the handkerchief first, and then the soldier walking down the road, he picks it up and he gives it back to the woman. And then that's the opportunity for him to, start the courtship process, express his interest. So technically, and back then, it's kind of the woman that somewhat initiated. And women do nowadays, but it's actually far and few that actually do. But they want a guy who takes leadership, assumes responsibility for stuff. So I can't tell you how many dates I've been on where you go to like a dessert place or a dinner or whatever, and it comes to your date's turn to choose something, whether that be what kind of ice cream they want, what kind of dessert they want, what kind of entree or appetizer or drink or whatever. Most of the time they're like, I don't know. And I've actually kind of tested this out. I just asked them, it's like, do you want me to pick for you? And I'd probably say out of the last like 6 or 7 dates with different girls I've gone on, like all but one of them said yes. So that just goes to show that leadership, they want someone to take the lead on stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean like total dictatorship and what's the word for it? To someone to be like totally over controlling overlord and stuff. That's not necessarily what it means, but to take the initiative, take the lead. That's what they're looking for. Just because if you can do it in that situation, you'll do it in future situations, especially if you get into a relationship with this woman.
Stressful, or if you have to figure something out on a whim, is always very attractive. And it's a good thing in the workplace, with your friends, with your family, so people feel safe and secure with you.
Again, going back to the stability, feeling safe, secure. Also, she mentioned work and career. I think that's a big thing too. A girl wants to date the guy who's the manager, who's the boss, who can get stuff done, who can show his dominance at times. That's the leader. So she doesn't want to have the guy who's getting walked all over, nor does she want to walk all over the guy. Even though you have these boss babes who want to be quote unquote the leaders of the relationship, but in reality they don't really want to. They may say they want to, but innately they don't. So let's move on to the next one. Number 3, emotional intelligence.
Entire video about this, so if you haven't checked it out, be sure to do so if you would like kind of the deep dive into it. So I'm just going to touch on it briefly here today. So basically, emotional intelligence is the idea that an ability to understand and manage emotions greatly increases our chances of success. So whether this be in your romantic relationships, at work, just kind of every area of your life, having these characteristics and having this overarching emotional intelligence is a great thing.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with emotional intelligence, EQ, IQ. So IQ is like intelligent quotient. EQ is like emotional intelligence quotient. So IQ kind of tests your not just like mathematical skills, but your problem solving, your critical thinking skills, your kind of main cognitive skills when it comes to thinking through stuff, your thought process. Emotional intelligence, EQ, kind of stems from your social interactions with people. So someone who has relatively high emotional intelligence can walk into a room, not take very much time to read the room, whether that be people's body language, people's tone of voice, and be able to assimilate and adapt to said situation and not kind of make a fool of themselves and be able to adapt and assimilate themselves to that situation. So, for example, you walk into a room, someone's getting lectured on something, the boss is yelling at all of the workers because they messed up or something. Someone with good emotional intelligence will probably recognize the situation. It's kind of heated. It's very a tensious circumstance situation. So they're going to go in, all right, we understand that you have this issue to the boss. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. Would you like us to do to fix it? Be able to navigate that situation. That's probably someone with relatively high emotional intelligence. Someone with kind of low emotional intelligence will kind of come in, be like, what are you talking about? Maybe talk back and stuff, like not read the room clearly and accurately at all. So that was kind of a work situation. Maybe a dating situation would be, all right, you're talking with a woman on a date and you can tell, or even maybe not a date, maybe it's a first interaction, and you can tell that she might be a little bit uncomfortable. You might be asking certain questions based off of body language that might be uncomfortable to her. She's giving you kind of short responses. She's not really opening up. Honestly, to the average Jeffrey, the average dude out there, they're pretty oblivious to these types of signs, or even a sign that she might be interested in you. So you might not read it. You might continue to ask those questions. You continue to be oblivious and even make her more uncomfortable. And eventually she's probably going to, one, like leave the date maybe. Two, definitely you're not going to get a second date. Someone who has high emotional intelligence will read, maybe ask a question. Oh, that was a little bit too personal. All right. And then scale it back a little bit and then go from there. So that's kind of what emotional intelligence is. So being able to see your surroundings, see what situation you are, what if you're currently in an interaction with someone, then you can read that, read their body language, read their nonverbals, also read their actual what they're saying and how they say it, and then move accordingly to that.
To have. This includes self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, social skills, all really great things. And again, I did an entire deep dive into this in my emotional intelligence video where I...
All right, that's emotional intelligence. It's pretty kind of self-explanatory. Social skills, it's kind of on there. All right, number 4.
Channel because I think it's incredibly important. One of the most important things you can do is to be a man of your word. You don't want to be a guy whose actions and words never match and just leave people feeling confused on where they stand with you. Girls and people in your life in general should feel like they can trust you and rely on you and like you're going to follow through with what you say you're going to do. Have integrity, be honest, be trustworthy, do not lie or cheat. Be honest about your intentions and your expectations with people. You'll be a lot happier if you do this too. And it's a lot easier to fall asleep at night when you don't have a guilty conscience.
All right, so she mentioned integrity, so that's like kind of encompassing a lot of different stuff that she mentioned. So keeping your word. I am a big proponent of being a man of your word. If you say you're going to do something, then do it. If you promise something to someone, then do it. Even if you don't want to do it, you're going to do it anyway, just because you kept your word. So it's actually kind of funny. I think we live in a society nowadays where people's word don't really mean much anymore. How many times have you had that? And obviously, there's certain cases, and you can kind of take this to the extreme, but I typically, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, for example, I had a friend who had a bonfire over a couple weekends ago, and it was far away. I thought it was an hour away. It's actually an hour and a half. It was kind of rainy and stuff. I was waiting for another friend, so we are going to be late. So I was like debating whether or not we're going to go. But we went anyway, just because I told my friend that was setting up the whole thing, hey, that's awesome. I'll be there. You can count on me. I'm going to try to bring some people, invite a ton of people. That's what I said. So because I said that, I kept my word. We went, and it was a good time. Nowadays, you have a lot of people that say, "Oh, I'll be there, don't worry," and then they last second they'll be like, actually, yeah, sorry, I can't make it," type of a thing. So I'm a big proponent of keeping your word, being a man of your word, and that leads to integrity and also honesty, being upfront. And I think honesty really stems from setting proper expectations. So not really leading people on, telling people, "Hey, this is what I expect from either our relationship or whatever in a relationship sense or even work." Under promise, over deliver, making sure you set correct expectations. That way, people don't leave unsatisfied or kind of up in the air about anything. Being really, I love the word intention, being having one good intentions and one being intentional in the first place, rather than kind of floating from here to there. Oh, I'm going out with this person just because I don't really know, rather than being intentions like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what you're looking for. We can set expectations and kind of go from there. So that's all encompassing with kind of what she's saying, and I generally agree with it.
You're not being able to really about what specifically your purpose is. It's about having one. A guy that is striving to be the best version of himself and putting in the work and putting in the effort is so incredibly attractive to women, much more than a guy who is a bump on a log not doing anything. This could be with your physical fitness, getting a degree, maybe getting a promotion at your job. This is going to look different for everyone because it's so individual, but whatever your purpose is, find it, create it for yourself, and be a guy that has one.
Boom, she hit it on the head. Purpose. Purpose is such a big thing just for being a guy in general. Like the thing is with women, they kind of already have like a natural born purpose whenever they're born, just because of the body parts they have. They're generally here on earth to have children. And you could say the same thing about us. We're generally here to create children with women. But think of how many people, guys in particular, or just over the history of time, have not had any kids. There's actually a large percentage. I think since like they started doing statistics since like the 1800s and before, it's like generally there would only be like 20% of the population that actually had kids and offspring and could get women. So think about like the other 80% didn't at all interact with women romantically or have kids or anything like that, which is pretty sad, but that's just how it was. And nowadays things are a lot different. But guys, you need a purpose. Like I always talk about in my other live stream about purpose, just because it's so important. I had its own whole dedicated like hour to it. But everyone has the spiritual purpose. It's kind of general, men, women. We're all on this earth to learn, gain experience, help other people, and then eventually want to return back to our Heavenly Father, to God, right? And then that's our spiritual purpose. Everyone has kind of that collectively. Second part, individual purpose. Everyone has their own individual purpose. Some people might be to play basketball. Michael Jordan, definitely to play basketball, be the best basketball player ever, be the GOAT. Tom Brady to play football. Let's just say like Abraham Lincoln to be the president of the United States, be a leader of the country, and stuff like that. Tom Cruise to be an actor, President Nelson to be the prophet of the church. Everyone has their own individual purpose, and that's what all dudes need to find. So whether that be, for me, I study finance, that just to be like a really good financial advise, whether a financial advisor, good with managing money in companies. That way I can either have my own company grow or someone else's company. I can work for them and allow it to grow to the best of my ability. And I think my purpose is to, one, help guys level up and help my kids level up. That way they can be self-sufficient. They know how kind of the world works, and then also be able to spread impact and good to other people, help other people out that might be struggling. That I feel like that's kind of what my purpose is. Thus, that's why I'm kind of doing this whole YouTube videos, live streams, Instagram, social media, kind of trying to have an impact in dudes' lives, just because I know a lot of other people have had an impact in my life and how much it's helped me and how much my life has gotten better since then. I've gotten results of what I want to accomplish and accomplish my dreams in life. And I think everyone kind of has the right to that, but you have to put in the work. That's the one caveat. That's the one thing that you have to do in order to achieve all this stuff. So it's a lot of guys out there. That's why the big dilemma after people come home from their LDS missions, they had a purpose as a missionary, teach others about Christ, help them come closer to Christ. And then they come home and they're like, I don't really know what to do. Maybe the people told me to get married, but that's a tough one just because it relies on someone else also kind of aligning your goals with someone else. And that can be a little bit difficult rather than kind of your sole individual purpose. So find a purpose, just because one, it shows ambition, shows passion. Two, it shows like you're doing something with your life. My guy Rich Cooper always says, putting your dent in the universe. That's attractive. A woman doesn't want to date some guy who's just like, I'm just kind of working my job just because I don't really like it, but you pay the bills. They want someone who has some passion, some fire about what they're doing, and they want someone who's looking to build something, possibly build something together and make something of themselves and has a greater impact than just themselves. So that's the importance of purpose. All right. So we're going to end that video there, and we're going to go on to another one. This one's actually super interesting. I'm sure you've heard of Danica Patrick. Super famous. She's a race car driver, super attractive woman, and she dated Aaron Rodgers for a little bit. I think she was married to someone, but she's kind of living it up, and she's kind of getting older, and I think she's single at the moment. And her and my guy Rich Cooper, which I love him. He has super good content for guys. They kind of go back and forth in a cordial way, in a constructive way of what do women actually want. So we'll take a look at this and add a little bit of commentary. We're not going to watch the whole thing, just a few minutes of it.
Feel like they're respected and needed, and again, because women are hypergamous, and you want to look up and across to a guy, so you have to be able to look up at him. Like, you want to be with a giant, right? So how hard is it for a successful race car driver that hosts TV shows, has her own podcast, done well in life, to find a guy like that? And a lot of these guys, by the way, they're not necessarily looking for that, right? They're usually looking for younger women.
So he's talking about kind of like what she's looking for, just because she's super successful in her career and a race car driver doing all this cool stuff. She's going to want a guy that's kind of like doing something similar with their life, or something even greater than that. Like, we've kind of saw the whole thing with what's her name? Melinda Gates. Was it Melinda Gates, or no, it was Mackenzie Bezos. So it was Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. That she divorced Jeff Bezos, this multi-billionaire conquering the world with Amazon. And she married the school teacher, the science teacher, I think physics or something, for like a middle school or high school. And they were dating for like a while. They got married. And then a few years later, she ended up divorcing him too, which it's like kind of the writing on the wall. She was used to being with this uber successful billionaire that was doing all this stuff. That was probably like different countries, different parts of the world, different days. And then you have this guy that she's married to. She comes home and is like, yeah, Billy from my third period class, he was just being so annoying today. He was talking back to me and stuff. And she's probably listening to that and like, dang, sounds like a tough day. Whereas Jeff Bezos was probably coming home and saying like, yeah, I had this multi-billion-dollar deal fall through, and like I have to head to Dubai, I have to head to Europe tomorrow. It's going to be a long flight. I won't be home till late. Just totally different world. So yeah, that's the dilemma that women have, is as they kind of be successful in their own sense and get educated and do all this great stuff with their life, they're looking probably for someone who's equal or above hypergamy. And that goes back to the very first video when Matthew Hussey's saying, all right, what do you mean by someone on my level? Is it the level of kindness? Is it the level of generosity? Is it the level of loyalty? Or are you talking about the level of money you're making, the level of cool stuff you're doing in life? That's why I'm a big proponent of guys doing stuff with their life. That way you don't kind of run into these problems just because the average woman now is a lot more educated, is doing a lot more stuff with their life than, say, women in the 50s. And it's not going to change.
Like they don't really care about a woman's accomplishments. There's no guy that's ever said, again, look at the degree on her wall. Mm-hmm. Look at that. That's hot.
No. But the problem is.
And basically what Rich is talking about there, it's like the guys is the total opposite. Like we could care less what the woman is doing. If she's doing something awesome with her life, cool. She's a race car driver. She's this Uber millionaire, cool. We're all cool with that. But we could also date the woman that's just like the barista at Starbucks, the cute, attractive girl that's working at the ice cream shop. We could care less, even if like I'm a multi-billionaire. She's attractive. She's young. She has good vibes. I can interact with her and relate with her pretty well. We have good conversation. She kind of is a compliment to my life. Then I don't care like if she doesn't have a degree. I don't care if she's like dropped out of like school or whatever. Like it could care, us guys could care less, but women on the other hand, it's totally different. It's the complete opposite.
Is that it's triggering, like because it's not that I can't respect him, even if he makes less or is less successful or whatever those things are. It's that he doesn't respect himself in my company.
Well, that's a big turnoff for women, right?
I mean, I think in general for men.
So it looks like Danica's talking about like just guys don't have to necessarily do all this crazy stuff, but it's like own self-respect. And to be fair, I'd say generally most men, if their woman is doing more than them, like money wise or life wise, then they're probably pretty what's the word, like insecure about it. Just because naturally as a guy you want to do great stuff and you don't want to be the one on the sideline type of a thing. But anyway, let me see if I can skip through and see if there's some more interesting topics or points that they make.
And that is the problem. What advice?
If you're spending 10 grand a month or more in YouTube,
it would help the person be led into the right relationship.
Well, it's different advice again for men and women.
That's fine. Then go ahead and separate them out then.
For women, well, I'm going to describe the kind of woman that I want. I've already kind of done this, throughout our conversation. But for me, as a leader, a guy that is competent, successful, all those things. Again, I want a woman that's a complement to my life, right? Like I want her to add value. I don't want to come, and deal with a disagreeable, woman that's going to create havoc or potential difficulty in my life, invite chaos, that's not what most women are today. And that's not out there, I mean, feel bad for Kanye, but nonsense from all of that 8-9 figure guys. We do fun and cool stuff together. That your best use of your youth, which is when you're most valuable to men, is to develop yourself into that woman that guy that you want to be with is. If that's the guy that you want to be with happens to be.
All right, I think that's pretty good advice coming from for guys and girls, women. Just like preserve your value and preserve your, and then develop yourself into someone that you can be a good addition to someone's life. And it works both ways. That doesn't mean like you're necessarily like less than the guy or whatever, but you're a complement to his life, and thus the guy should be a complement to your life. And if women are naturally looking for someone has leadership qualities, who they can look up to mentally, emotionally, spiritually, is the rock of the foundation, then naturally the guy is probably going to be overall more well-rounded than say the woman would be, generally speaking. So if that's the case, then he might not necessarily be like the more valuable one in the relationship, lead the most stuff, but that doesn't mean that the woman isn't valuable in her own sense. The guys and girls, they play different roles and they bring different stuff to the table, and that's essentially the conversation. But kind of sorry, this is kind of getting away from the topic of what women want. So we're going to go to our last video. I know we had him in the thumbnail. My guy Top G. He's not actually in this video, but they're going to talk about him a little bit. Yeah, why some women say they don't want guys like Andrew Tate, but they actually are dating guys like Andrew Tate.
See a lot of hate towards Andrew Tate on social media. I follow him on TikTok because I think, he's funny to listen to, and but the funny thing is, a lot of the women who complain about Andrew Tate are dating Andrew Tates. That's their list.
What's the cognitive disconnect there? That they're dating the guy that they hate on? What do you mean?
Yeah, no, it's like the guys that they're dating are like Andrew Tate. They're a little bit, rough. They're a bad boy.
They're macho.
They're macho.
Tough, yeah.
They're tough dudes. But then they hate on.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I'll show from this video. They have some colorful language later on, which I won't necessarily dive into, but I'll put all of these videos in the description. So pop over to this main screen right here. But basically she's saying like, yeah, I think women initially attracted to the bad boy, the rough, rugged, masculine, look up to him both physically, emotionally, mentally. It's kind of like that all around type of guy that kind of has his life sorted, knows what he wants in life, knows what he wants to accomplish, has a purpose, is driven by that purpose. That's what women want, and obviously confidence and a little bit of cockiness comes with that, and that's what guys like Andrew Tate, that's why they get all the women. And but the thing is that initially attracts women just because you need that. But what keeps the women is the generosity, the kindness, the loyalty. So you need both. So shout out, this is going to be a note taking for my guys out there. You have to be both. You have to be the bad boy, but you have to also be the nice guy in certain situations, and kind of for the long term, for the relationship to thrive. But you always have to be that leadership figure, be the rock of the relationship, and that's what I try to teach guys. Be interesting, be captivating, build yourself up physically first. It starts with that, fitness wise. Can't really do anything if you're out of shape. It's sad. I see all these videos of guys that are out of shape and they can't run, and someone steals their girl's purse or something, can't even run, and tackle the guy and beat up the guy or whatever. It's to protect them physically, and then also provide for them financially as well. So this will kind of go into what my takeaways and what I kind of think what women want. So kind of a breakdown of what we just saw. So Matthew Hussey, the very first video, he talked about, all right, women, what do you mean by at your level for a guy? Are you talking about emotionally, like loyalty, generosity, kindness, or are you talking about income? And then Courtney Ryan goes over 5 different things that make guys valuable and what women really want. So first one, stability. Second one, oh gosh, I can't even remember. I should have taken notes during this. But second one, she was talking about, I actually have it up right here. Second, leadership. Third, emotional intelligence. Fourth, integrity. And 5, purpose. And like I said, ladies, if you disagree, if you agree, let me know in the comments. Let me know, shoot me a DM or something. Like, let me know somehow. See if we're right or wrong, or if I'm off by a lot. And then what Rich and Danica were talking about is the guy who a woman could look up to, that could provide for them physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, and that's doing something with their life. And that's on their kind of like on their level, and how hypergamy works. You'd probably on their level, at least on their level, ideally above. Just because that's what women find attractive, and guys won't say. The famous line Rich always says is, guys are never gonna look at a woman's degree and be like, man, look at that degree on that woman. They're never gonna say that. Look at that mahogany. Oh, it's so hot. No, they're not gonna say that. They're gonna see how beautiful she is physically and youthful, and how kind and loving and agreeable she is, cooperative she is. They're going to talk about that. They're not going to talk about her accolades. Oh, she's the CEO of that company. Oh man, that hits the spot, you know. So that's what Rich and Danica were talking about. And then the last one, they're talking about Andrew Tate. It's my guy Adam Sosnick from the Soscast and Valuetainment team. They were talking about how women, they say they hate the Andrew Tates, but they're dating the Andrew Tates. And it's actually funny. I see this a lot in the YSA awards I deal with, the people I interact with as well. A lot of these girls out there, and a lot of these girls are young girls. They get hurt by these guys because they're attracted to these bad boys, and the guys that I always call them the Sarm goblins. It's the guys with the curly hair and the dangly earrings and stuff like that. They treat these chicks terribly, but they're attracted to them. So it's like, all right, you hate these guys, but you're dating them at the same time. Like there's a disconnect that you're having, type of a thing. So that's why I say you have to be the bad boy. You have to have a lot of those you have to have the masculine traits, but then you also have the loving and be soft at times and understanding and genuine and those type of characteristics as well. So this is my 2 cents. This is what I think based off of my 26 years. I know it's a long time, so this is probably bound to change. But from my experience, I've had vast dating experience throughout my years. But at the end of the day, what women really want, they just want optionality, which that's kind of a loaded term, but I always phrase it like this, and I've asked dozens of girls this question. I've yet to have one that disagreed with me. They all agreed with me. I say, I mean, at the end of the day, what pretty much all women want is they want to be in a relationship where they don't have to go to work. They can choose to go to work if they want to. They have the option of being a stay-at-home mom. They don't have to, but they have the option to do that. Generally, they want the guy to be making enough money to be able to provide for everything, emotionally, physically, financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, where everything's kind of all sorted out, kind of taken care of. If they want to do something, they can. If they want to pursue a passion, they can. If they, like I said, want to be a stay-at-home mom, they can. If they want to take care of the kids, but then also do something on the side, maybe create their own business, they can. If they want to pursue a career, they can. If they want to travel, they can. So that's the key. And I've asked, like I said, dozens of women and girls this. They all agree with me. They're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Just because, like I said, modern age that we live in today, women are educated. That's a good thing. They're pursuing stuff that normally 50, 100 years ago wasn't necessarily possible. And that's not going to change. And that's just going to keep progressing more and more. And with that, they want the optionality. And the thing is, being a woman, you have the optionality. It's nice, ideally, if you're in the right relationship. For guys, we have our role that we need to play. We need to be the provider. We need to be the rock of the relationship, the household. That's just how it is, and that's how I think it will always be. And I know these agendas are getting pushed to like, oh, you need to be more emotional. You need to show your feminine side and stuff like that. But then at the end of the day, women don't want that. They want a guy who's masculine in his masculine frame, being able to provide financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually for the family, and basically give the woman options. Like I said, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and ideally, especially a lot of the women I interact with and I date, and in our community here in Utah, and most of the girls I date are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and family is a big part of that, which I think it should be a big part of everyone. But majority of girls want to be moms, and with that comes, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, then great. I would love for you to be a stay-at-home mom. Ideally, that'd be like probably the number one option, and I take care of everything else. If you want to kind of work a little bit in that, like when the kid gets older, like I'm totally fine with that. Like once the kids are older, if you just want to go and work full time or whatever, or you want to do a side business while you're a mom, or once the kids are grown up, you want to pursue that full time, then I'm all for that. You have the optionality to do that. If you want to go, like, we would take a trip here, then like, yeah, let's do that. If you want to go eat here, then yeah, let's go do that. Optionality. So, ladies, do you disagree with me? Do you not want those options? Do you want that optionality to kind of see what you want to do. Different times you're allowed to do different things. I've asked dozens of women this. They've all given me the same response. Yes, that is what they want. So I'll leave it at that. It's a great discussion tonight. Like I said, am I right? Am I wrong? Tell me in the comments. Shoot me a DM. Let me know. Tell me how my content's doing. Is it good? Is it bad? We talk about more of this topic, more of that topic. You need to say, hey, Mike, you need to lay off the women. Like, Mike, lay off the guys a little bit. Let them off a little bit easier. I might lay off the women a little bit, but guys, I'm not going to lay off of you just because you need it. You need that accountability in your life. So let me know. Let me know your feedback. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. Let me know future topics you want me to talk about, discuss. And yeah, maybe in the future we might invite some guests onto the show and make things a little bit interesting. But as with everything, trying to help you guys get stronger, smarter, healthier, and wealthier. So go ahead, follow for more lives, follow for more tips, follow for more content, and subscribe to my YouTube. All of my socials are right here if you're watching my YouTube stream. If you're on my Instagram stream, go to my YouTube, watch this. My socials are on the left side of the screen. Subscribe to my YouTube, follow my Facebook page, follow my Twitter. I'm trying to be a little more active on Twitter nowadays. And then, of course, follow my Instagram. And with that, I'll leave.